Classroom Translator for the Deaf.
To use this app, the teacher who's not deaf speaks, and the app picks up the words and translates it to sign language for the deaf person, and it also puts the words under the sign language in case they can't read it. Can also interpret that for the sign language.
It works a lot like Siri on your phone, right? It just has added sign language so that they can understand. It's pretty easy to use. We already pretty much came up with everything it'll use. We're thinking about adding a second mode where you can actually talk back to them in using sign language, or you can type it. So that's in development. So our market, basically through our research, we found out that 2 to 3 children per 1,000 are born with hearing loss, and then 90% of deaf children are born to hearing parents. So the hearing parents, not being deaf, probably haven't learned sign language, and it could take a long time to learn. So this makes it a lot easier. So basically, we don't have the money to create this app, right? It takes a lot of money to come up with a coder, people that know sign language, stuff like that, right? So what we're asking for is $200,000 for 25% equity of our company, me and Kieran. So the way that we will approach our market and our profits, right, is we are making a free and premium mode of this where we're going to base it off of minutes. So if you have the free mode, maybe you can only use it 10 minutes a day, right? So if you're using it in a classroom all day, if you're deaf, you're not going to be able to keep using it. So that's where the premium comes in, where you can use it unlimited, for unlimited time for $3 a month, which is what we're aiming for. So yeah, that's it. This is WiseGuy. This is a classroom translator for the deaf. It can also be used to facilitate conversation, and this is what we need.
At $3 a month, have you guys, worked out how many users that would take for you to break even or make a profit?
That's a great question. Nope.
Have you considered local facilities to the Delta, such as PTY?
Yeah, that's another good question. So basically, we looked at what's out there in accessible ways on a phone and basically every smartphone. And what we found is there's nothing like this that uses sign language and text. Most of them either use only text, which if you're young, you might not learn words and letters before you learn sign language. So to help when you're younger, there is an app out there that uses sign language, but it's mostly for learning. It's not for facilitating conversation and use in a classroom. So this is right now the only thing out there that is used for this task.
So explain to me again how this would work. Let's say that I'm deaf. Explain to me one more time. Is this on your phone?
Yes, sir. It's an app on your phone, right? So when you open it, it picks up voices that say I'm talking to you right now. You have your phone out, you have the app running, I'm talking to you, and what it does is it takes what I say and it turns it into sign language, and under the sign language it writes out what I'm saying in English. So if you don't understand words and you cannot read, you can understand the sign language and vice versa.
But I have to have the app on my phone.
Yes, sir. I mean, it could work either way.
So is there a lot of dictation apps and the like you have to train it? So what has to go into on the teacher side of things? Does the teacher need to have the ability to access the app as well and pay for it to train the app to understand his or her voice?
That's a good question. So there's a lot of voice recognition software out right now, and so what we plan on doing is just building off of that. So it would be a lot easier, or it would be very easy just to pick up any voice, because the software's already out there that does it well. So we just build on that.
For example, my phone, I get my voicemail, and I also have it comes out and written out. I hit my voicemail and talking to me, but at the same time it's in the written script. So that's what you're saying there, it's gonna come in the
Yeah.
script?
Basically, it comes in above, it'll do the sign language above the script, basically. Yes, sir.
Are you planning on hiring coders
Yes,
as
ma'am.
employees? You know?
We cannot,
You're not coders?
able.
Okay, that's okay. Lots of people are coders.
Do you think $200,000 is enough?
Yeah, actually, through our research.
What would your
we found-
budget be able to use the 200,000?
Well, our budget would go to coders that would be able to actually make the app itself. And then on top of that, we would need somebody who's fluent in sign language, and we would need somebody who's familiar with voice recognition.
Have you thought about, the cost of time of patenting the product?
No, we haven't taken patents into account.
I like the idea, I like that as a possibility. I gotta think about whether I want to invest in this or not at this point.
Never flexible. Stir something up.
Um,
So we can take shoot it down.
Did you say that there was something back, so once, if Mr. Cross is deaf and he wants to speak back to the teacher, is there a way for that app to pick up his sign language back as
So
well?
what we are planning on doing is, what we basically laid out was the first mode, which is you speak to the deaf person understands. As a addition to that, as an expansion, we were planning on coming up with basically a dictionary, right? That you can pick sign language or you can type in and it will speak back. But that's a little bit further down the road.
I like the concept, but I'm going to pass because I think I don't have enough on your business plan and and the model that you want to go forward. I'll let someone else make an offer.
So we're investors. And what the investor ultimately is looking at is the return on the money they put into it. So part of my concern would be that you haven't come up with any kind of idea on what that return might look like. I like your idea, and I like that, but I think you have more of an idea that you're selling to people than a program that you really can go out there and put in place. So we would probably need to know a little bit more about it. Here's probably what you can make off this thing. So I think I'll pass too.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Cross. I do think it's a great idea, particularly, if you were to add that two-way communication. But I think at this point, there's just not enough information from a budget perspective for me. So, I'm out as well.
I'm the same way. I think if you had more specifics about your return, how you plan to get there. You talked a little bit about 2 to 3 children out of 1,000 are hearing impaired to some degree, or maybe completely deaf. So what is your total market? Do you plan to start regionally? Do you plan to go nationally? Could you potentially go worldwide? Which I think you could.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you got a good idea. I think you need to come back and say, and refine it and have more of a specific business plan, so we can see what kind of return, because right now, if I put in $1, I just can't see from the, take your idea, convert it into a model and see a decent ROI. But I really applaud you for your thoughts. I think you got a really good idea, and you put some time into it, and I appreciate that, but thank you.
You here to say this?
Possibly.
All right.
Possibly. Yeah, part of your, it's just like the phone I have, as I said before, in my voicemail, I have a script that comes on it. So I would concentrate in the business on being able to have the deaf person respond back to you and how that can be done on the the app, because I think getting the sign language on it at this point is, I think that's fairly possible. And maybe fairly easy, actually. But the response back is probably where the effort's gonna be. So, in that case, I'm willing to give you the 200. But I want 40% equity. I wanna serve on your board and work with you on this. And, see where we go from there.
That's great.